Good job.
Ant's going course side. Pushing the button.
Course side.
Out of practice.
Here we
What's
go.
up, Mrs. Ryan?
Good to see everybody. I'm so excited to meet Ant, the guy on the screen, the name.
I know. The guy we've been talking to for the last half hour. He's awesome.
Yeah.
There we go. Bring it in here. What's happening, Mrs. Ryan? Welcome back.
Welcome back to you, too. Been busy.
Exactly. With the busyness that has occurred this weekend, we are very, very busy today. But I think that we should absolutely mention some of the awesomeness that occurred this weekend. Anything in particular, Mrs. Ryan?
You know I don't remember anything.
Shit. Hang on. I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot the most important part. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. Our guest this evening is, I don't know, should we say author, car show host, car builder. What else? He's the guy who does everything with cars and is all over the TV. It's Ant Anstead is here today. And in the house as well, we have Sean Winograd, who's a former guest on this show, but also a producer over there at Wheeler Dealers. And Ant, of course, is one of the hosts of that program. So we're going to talk to him in just a few minutes. Super awesome, great energy. Looking forward to that.
Such a cool dude.
In the meantime, Mrs. Ryan, the weekend. Huge thanks to friends of Steve McQueen, Chad McQueen, Nicholas Hunziker, Heather Norwood, everybody from the Friends of Steve McQueen car show this weekend over at the Boys Republic. Fantastic cars, fantastic cause. Thank you. We had a fantastic time.
It was such a nice time.
Yeah.
Really well done event. And I love seeing everyone. And McQueen, I just adore. You put up a picture of last year, and I just love that guy.
I know. You guys always buddy
Chad.
up. It's great. And then I can't remember the rest of the weekend, but I know we went to, did, of course, Muffins in Malibu. But we also went over to go see our good friends, Michael, and then also Mark, whose wife was having an event. She works for Dosist. And was it Daphne, I believe, was in it? That's not right. Is that right?
That's what I thought.
Okay. I think I screwed that up. I don't know if that's right or not. Anyway, Mark's wife, they did an event over at the Motoring Club in Marina Del Rey, which was absolutely fantastic. What a great space that is over at the Motoring Club. If you're not a member, look it up. I would suggest joining because the benefits outweigh the membership. It doesn't make sense not to join it. It's one of those things.
It's such a cool space.
If you use the benefits. And the space itself is just awesome. We saw Radu there. He was one of the speakers. And so much fun.
Very cool. I told anyone that I talked to, like, if we still lived in Venice, I would walk there for work. Like,
that would be the coffee shop for sure. That would be where you hang out and do your
awesome.
business and whatever. Yeah.
Very cool. Very well done, and congratulations to Michael.
And now that we've seen it and know exactly where it is, we'll come to more events in the future. So thank you, Michael.
See you soon.
Mrs. Ryan, we've got some videos.
Oh,
Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, we've got some videos to get through. One of which I'd like to start us off with Mr. Ray SHAFFER.
Awesome.
And a backstage pass. If I recall, back to the studio, here we go. I do believe this is a continuation. Mr. Ray SHAFFER is still at Barber Motorsport Park down there in the Atlanta area.
Okay.
All right, so this is a continuation from last week. It was a two-parter. Here we go. Back to Backstage Pass with Ray SHAFFER. Roll it, Hal.
You've got to make sure you take the bridge walk and come out and see the track from this angle. It's pretty cool. Oh man, the views. Look at that museum. It's incredible. You got to come see this. Race cars behind you. Waterfalls everywhere you look. You got to come check this place out. Amazing. as you can see, Barber Motorsports Park is an amazing experience. With this bridge walk, you can come out and you can see just about the entire track all the way around you. Absolutely. Whether it's an IndyCar race, vintage sports car race, when you're coming for the museum, when you're in Birmingham or Atlanta, it's only about 2 hours away. You gotta come check this place out. Absolutely amazing. And of course, don't forget the Porsche driving experience is here as well. I'm looking forward to trying that one out real soon. Well, you guys have a great show. Take care.
Oh, that is the same. That's absolutely the same. So, thank you, Ray Schaefer. Hello, Ray Schaefer.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, here we go. Let's do the important stuff here. Get to the business. If not already, please consider following Ray Schaefer for your backstage pass to all things Porsche Classic, brand heritage, and travel-related material. That's ray.schaefer, S-H-A-F-F-E-R. With that, if you saw somebody in here a few minutes ago, that was Ant, who has sculptures that he has made in that museum. How funny is that? Small world. So he was looking up pictures literally on his phone and showing us.
Here's the logo.
Like
Here's my
reality.
sculpture.
Yeah.
Get on it, Ray. I need a video.
Awesome. So Ray, I would say, yeah, he's there local and he's there all the time. Let's keep an eye out and then maybe find those pieces, and it'll be like a what do you call that? Scavenger hunt. A Porsche scavenger hunt.
That's a cool way to look at it.
Barber Motorsports scavenger hunt. That ended up being more than I thought it was going to be, so I got... what are we doing next? Oh, the next video is... and then I'm good. We got to go behind the orange curtain and check in with Paul Kennel and the Auto KRAMERs over at Auto Kennel. Roll it out.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. This is Paul KRAMER from Behind the Orange Curtain at Auto Kennel, and I just wanted to check in and tell you something that really cool happened today, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I didn't do this while it was happening, but a 1962 Volkswagen bus that was made famous from the Associated Press photos during Woodstock came by. It's a group of people called, I don't know if that's going to come out backwards or not, but it's the Woodstock Bus Project. And they're out of Nova Scotia, and they are doing a documentary on this famous bus, the artist who painted it. Once again, I'm really excited I got to be part of it. In the documentary, I am doing the appraisal for them, coming up with a value for it. It's going to spend the next few months, the whole summer, going across country, different events, and ultimately reuniting with the artist who painted it and the celebration of Woodstock's 50th anniversary. So part of the reason why I love doing what I do, because days like this, I get to see something really special. So thought of you guys, miss you, and hope to see you soon. Love you.
Yo, man, that's a cool band.
That was awesome. I love that guy. I love that whole thing. And he's right. That is a weird, if you're just a person, that doesn't show up at your house.
Correct. I would have loved to have seen it. I'm so glad we had the video. Thanks, Paul.
Mrs. Ryan.
Yeah?
That brings me, all of my stuff is off the list, crossed off. It brings me...
Wow.
It's time to ask the question that's, oh, shit. Here we go. That's better. It's time to ask the question that's in everyone's mind.
Oh, more to come.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Apple has a new headquarters in Cupertino. The building.
That's true.
They built a new building. They completed it last year. People are finally starting to move in. It's a circle with about a mile circumference.
Yeah.
And it is on 692 stainless steel discs. So it can move like 4 feet if there's ever like an earthquake or a natural disaster or whatever. So that was neat to read about.
But this isn't new. I mean, that was finished a while ago, and we followed the building of that, the spaceship campus and all of that.
Yes, well, it was in the news today,
I
so it was new to me this morning.
Okay.
Johnny,
in other Apple news, I would say that they got rid of iTunes yesterday. That's the biggest news I've heard out of Apple, and from my opinion, they haven't gotten rid of shit. They just tripled the iTunes that we have now. We have an iTunes for movies, and we have an iTunes for TV, and we have an iTunes for tunes. It's Apple Music, Apple TV, and Apple Movies.
I didn't look into that.
But they're all still a place where you can store, watch, and buy content.
Apple's evolving.
Yeah.
This spaceship building sounds like a neat idea and part of that evolution.
This was a Jobs thing. This was
it was inspired by a lot of his experience with Japanese infrastructure, and so I can't wait to see. I hope I see it
still in the
someday.
design phases when he was building a yacht at the same time actually when he died. And that got finished as well. Beautiful work though. Beautiful work.
It looks
all
gorgeous.
Glass. It's stunning.
Oh yeah. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines is teaming up with a local Netherlands university. It's called Delft, I think, University of Technology in the Netherlands, and they're creating. There's a lot of airlines trying to figure out how to reduce footprints and be
carbon
more
footprint. Try to be more
globally, environmentally conscious and stuff. And so there's a lot of experiments with like how to recycle fuels and things that are already in existence in airplanes. And KLM was like, well, we'll just get with a university that's exploring outside the box. So they're looking
built-in
into
researchers, right?
Yeah. And they're looking at, let's just change. We've been flying with these tubes forever. Let's make it a V. And
I see. You're talking about the new design for a potential aircraft.
Yeah, they're changing the game of like fuel usage, and so this V design with putting passengers and cargo and fuel and stuff like in the V like wings, it saves like 20% fuel consumption or something.
That's what they said for the same flight. This design would theoretically save 20%. It's interesting to me. It seems like a variation of the old flying wing, which was it's not new by any means. In fact, it was probably most famously developed during World War II, and then we got the stealth bomber out of it and the whole bit too. But if you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original Indiana Jones movie, there's a propeller plane that, when he's fighting the Nazis and they're going to fly the Ark out of there, it's a propeller plane, but it's just a wing. It's a flying wing. If you ever look at that, it's almost like an antique stealth bomber. If you look at the style of it, so this technology, this idea, has been around for a long time. The dual fuselage thing, I think, will be interesting. You know what I mean? Because you have to look out the window you can see forward if you look out the side window. That's weird. It takes some getting used to. Contrarily, you see with the other side of the other people in the other plane on the other side. If you look out that way, and you're almost sort of backwards. It's an interesting thing, I'm sure, sensorily. Maybe this one won't have windows, like you were saying at one point. The planes of the future won't have windows. I don't know. I think it's neat.
Who knows? I love the innovation of it.
I was trying to say that it wasn't as innovative as you thought, because it's much older.
Good call.
No,
like the Apple News, it's new to me, so I'll just
that's awesome.
Embrace it.
I think it's neat to see new stuff. I'm with you there. New or old. That's nice. New at the moment.
Yes, I'll leave it at that. IKEA is introducing robotic furniture.
Oh yeah,
for small
robotic
space
furniture.
Living. Here's the thing. I think it's bizarre, but
is it because it's modular? Is that what like automatic but modular? Like transforming furniture, a chair can also be a table or something like that, where it would be beneficial in a small space.
No, you can control it with an iPad to move stuff out of the way, to like put your bed down and like move a sofa and like all that stuff.
Okay.
So it harkens back to me of like older apartments, like I think from the 60s with like fold out beds. You could put day beds. Is that what they're called? You can
Murphy bed. You thinking Murphy bed out of the wall?
Yes, those ones.
Roger Rabbit. Or any old detective movie?
Any old detective movie, and I always see it in the kitchen with like the ironing board comes out of a thing. So they're automating things like that, and they're launching it in Japan next year for small space living. Who knows?
Again, just like that plane, old school, coming back.
Okay, today's news is new to me. So I'll just live there. Everyone can pay attention to what's new to me. Lastly, I want to thank the AV Club. I used to work with them all the time. They were impossible to get coverage, but they It's a comedy website, and it's like it's a companion to The Onion, but it's not satirical.
Oh.
And so
Same people?
Sorry?
Same people, though?
Sure, some of them.
Okay.
It's a companion news source, but they really cover comedy without making it about politics. So that's why
nice.
I wanted to give huge kudos to them, because I don't watch a lot of the late night shows anymore because it's very politically bent, the openings and the monologues, but some of the guests are great.
Yeah, they've merged it. A little too much for me, too.
And I adore the guests that they're having on. They just don't always talk to them about things I want to talk to them about. But the AV Club was like, let's deep dive into what they did talk about. So taking aside the politics that they covered on the shows, like Wanda Sykes was an NSA agent, which I didn't know. And that was funny. But really, Vanessa Bayer.
Is that true?
Yes.
You know, I have had
I know you know her.
That's amazing to me, but I fully believe it. She's one of the smartest people I know, and she saw right through me at a time when I didn't know that was possible.
She did it to Colbert and was like, here's the deal, man.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening.
She knew what I was all about way back when, way before I did.
Yeah, she had like top security clearance. She's a
surprise me.
brilliant person. So the AV Club covered that. But really, what I found so fascinating was their coverage of Vanessa Bayer, who's a comedian I know from SNL and adore her. And she's, like me, always seen to be very smiley and very happy. And I did not know that she battled leukemia when she was a kid for like 2.5 years and was a Make-A-Wish Foundation recipient and took her family to Hawaii.
Holy smokes, that was her wish?
That was her wish, was to take the family to Hawaii. So similarly, she credits going through that and her family laughing through the oddities that show up when you get sick with wanting to go into comedy. Oh. So she has a charity for like bone marrow stuff, like the Giving Life or something.
I love Vanessa.
And
I miss her on Saturday Night Live.
Adore her, and I'm so grateful to the AV Club for pointing out stuff that's really what they're about.
That's awesome. Go ahead. That's been What's Going On? When I was a kid, the AV Club was how I got into all this stuff. Doing a little TV show hang on, I probably got a picture right here. Of course, we've seen it before. Here's me in the AV Club in high school. Check that out over there.
Totally. They're the nerd outlet. Like audiovisual is what that means, the AV Club.
It's also where you learn how to use all this stuff that I love so much.
The technology.
All the old tech. Yeah,
components
all the equipment.
Behind what we watch that we love.
That's so funny.
Thanks, guys.
That's awesome, Mrs. Ryan. I love you. Let us quick take a... marbles in my mouth today. Look, we got a third attempt at saying something. Got to do those speech things ahead of time. Let us take a quick break. Get our guest, Ant Anstead, in here. Looking very forward to talking to you, sir. He's looking at me like, I might take off. See what you do now? I don't know if I'm into it.
He's talking to his Porsche friend who's coming over.
Ant Anstead will be sitting in that chair right there when we get back. More to come right after this. Very interesting. And now that you're taking a sip is the perfect time to come back.
Yeah, this is
No,
great.
like
What is this, tequila?
We have tequila somewhere. I think if we could probably find that for you.
It's water.
Welcome back, everybody. We're sitting here with Ant Anstead. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Thank you for being here finally. So we should probably tell everybody that you were scheduled to be here a couple weeks ago, and we canceled on you because I got sick for the
No,
first
you see,
time.
I think that was all a ruse. You weren't sick at all. You were like, really?
This guy?
Have we got better guests? There must be someone else available.
Yeah.
That was
right.
me. He's not hot enough, is what I said.
Not nearly attractive enough.
Right. Okay.
He's the hot guy on that show, apparently.
Oh, bless you. Are you feeling better now, though?
Feeling much better, and you are so kind to ask. Thank you so much.
Good.
We canceled on this guy the day of the show because we
Yeah.
were trying to the night before. He said, "No, I can push through. In the morning, I was like, "God, no way."
Actually, I think it's only fair, though, because, you did mention my wife is pregnant at the moment. The last thing you want to do is give me your sickness and then I pass it on to her. And trust me, none of us want that.
That was my biggest reasoning. And I said, we're going to burn this bridge if we get him here and then make him sick.
Yeah, and
I
you
don't
know
wanna
that
do
all
that.
too well. I have no immune system, so like everyone knows, like to be cautious when they're sick around you. So totally get it.
Well, thank you for being here. There's
Thank
so
you.
much stuff
Thank you
to
for
talk
having me.
about. Your life is very big. It's explosive. You moved to the United States, and holy smokes, I never knew who you were, and now you're all over the place in a great way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that feel? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, it's almost like there's two universes, isn't there? There's the UK, and then this whole different universe called the US. And, in the UK, I've been doing TV for quite a few years.
Right.
So in the UK, it's no surprise. And, intrinsically, Wheeler Dealers is a UK show. It really has a British feel about it. It still feels like the Brits still feel like they own it. But coming to the US has opened up a completely new market to me. I was saying, weirdly, on the way here to Sean, I was saying that ever since I landed here in the US almost 2.5 years ago, within a matter of days, I really felt at home.
Wow.
You've
traveled a lot extensively in the past. Have you ever had that feeling before?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've done some really, I've done an awful lot of traveling.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky in my life. I've been to some amazing
I don't want you
places.
to feel like you have to lean into that. There you go.
I've been very.
There you go.
Whoa! It's like
Don't mind me.
it's not one of those insect things.
Don't mind me. But now I'm out of your space.
Whew. Yeah, what's with the footsie on? No. I've been very lucky. I've travelled in loads of places, it's strange. As soon as I landed in California, I just really felt at peace.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I
How
don't
long's
really give any kind of credit to the whole. It's my job.
Sure.
And the fact that people watch, I think, is a real privilege. I'm incredibly lucky and incredibly blessed at what I do.
Good for you.
Even if you take the TV side away, I would still be here.
That's really outstanding. How long has it been? 2 years? 3 years?
It's nearly 2.5 years now, but it feels like it's gone by in 2.5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, time is I joke with Christina all the time that we live in this kind of crazy vortex because we have no concept of time anymore. It's like this crazy make-believe world because I feel like I've known her forever.
Right.
So I feel like we've been together for decades, yet... it's been quite quick.
That's amazing. Well, yeah, and you've got a baby on the way.
Yeah, we're having a baby, which is amazing. This will be our...
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's our tiebreaker because we've got 2 each. 2 girls, 2 boys. We both have older daughters and younger sons.
I don't know if I realized all of that. So you've got a little Brady Bunch thing going on, or the older ones are already out?
We do. Well, my oldest is going to be 16 this summer. Wow. Amelie.
Good for you, by the way. Look at this guy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then I have a son who's going to be 13 this summer, and then obviously Christina's got an older daughter and a younger son. And weirdly, the 2 girls' birthdays are exactly 7 days apart, but so are the 2 boys. They're also 7 days apart. I know.
That's awesome.
I mean,
that's 111 stuff.
I was just going to say, you and I, we don't believe in coincidence, so there's a reason for all of that stuff.
No, absolutely. It's really strange because I grew up in with a kind of, I never believed in fate as a kid, and
That's right, me and you.
Never, ever, ever.
Same way.
I never believed in fate. I was very analytical, I'm an engineer. If I need to see how things work, it needs to be in a particular box. It needs to be in a particular sequence. You make your own fate. And then the moment I moved to America, it's the first time in my life I actually realized that there was something bigger.
Wow.
And it's the first time I realized that things and incidents that happened in my life weren't coincidental. And it's actually a kind of, I really believe in second chances, and I really feel like I've come to a place in my life where I absolutely have a second chance. And now I'm older and maturer, and I understand how things work better. I wish I had this knowledge when I was in my 20s, because in my 20s I never realised.
No.
Knowledge is wasted on the youth.
No.
That's
And
the
it
word
was
on the
wasted
street.
on me, right?
Yeah.
And it was wasted on me.
Same.
And it's just dillied out as if it had, I mean, it's so valuable, and we just treat it
So
like,
valuable.
oh, somebody's throwing pennies.
Yeah. Oh. Donk, donk,
Look at this idiot throwing pennies.
yeah, it's crazy. So I'm really lucky because we spoke about, before we started recording, we spoke a bit about spirituality, and
Sure.
I do live a very spiritual life. I do believe in certain things. I wear crystals, and
Yes.
I've
You probably saw one in the bathroom as well. We
didn't.
do as well.
Can I get it in my bag on the way out?
Yeah.
If it's gone, I'll know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was on the back of the toilet. Did you sit down? You should have seen it.
Next to the candle.
Yes, we definitely share some sensibilities on that.
Yeah.
This is going to bounce all around, and it's not going to be any semblance of a linear interview. But did you get any of that when you were a cop? Like, when did that get downloaded to you? How did you get that
Actually,
understanding?
I'd say 100% I didn't.
Okay.
And it's only, I was, for those of you that don't know, I was a police officer. I was a police officer when I was 18. In the UK, you generally school till you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then normally people take a year off or go to university or they go to work. And
Discovery year, right? Discovery year?
It's called a gap year.
Gap year,
Is that
okay.
right? Is
But you're going to go learn about yourself or the world or something.
You find yourself.
Right.
Right. A lot of these kids, basically, if you're a kid that has wealthy parents, you go and find yourself in Tibet.
Backpack through Europe.
Exactly. Or if you're a kid from my side of the fence, you go to work.
Right.
So I worked in kitchens and scrubbed pots and peeled potatoes, and I did all the kind of glorious stuff that you do. And then I found myself in my year off. I walked into I was in the high street, and I walked into a travel agent's, and I said, look, I just want to go somewhere for a few weeks. I don't care where.
Get away.
I want to go somewhere. And I landed in Jerusalem 2 days later. And I spent a month in Egypt. Not in Egypt, in Israel,
Wow.
sorry. I spent a month in
So
Israel.
you had a long walk.
On a kibbutz. And I'm not Jewish. I just felt drawn there.
Yes.
And I spent a
It's
kind
a
of
holy
a month
place
there.
regardless.
It's an incredible place. And then I didn't tell my parents, but I joined the police. And it takes about 4 or 5 months to go through the police process. And you don't really know until you've gone through it.
You weren't in the UK when you were a cop? For whatever reason, I assumed.
I just went through the process. I went through the interview stages. I joined the police service.
In Israel?
No, in the UK.
Oh, okay. See,
When you got back?
we both went there for a second.
Guys,
okay.
have you been drinking?
Something's up.
So, I joined the police service when I was 18 and a half.
But you went to Jerusalem.
So I took 6 months off
Yes.
between sort of 18 and 18 and a half. And I just found myself doing a bit of traveling. I went to Israel for a month.
He's like, I'll give it to you again.
Milked
came
cows on a
back.
kibbutz. Did a bit of touring. Did a lot of working. I earned, some pocket money working in kitchens, and I was fixing cars always. So I was earning a bit of cash on the side. And then I just joined the police.
Wow.
And I remember I told my parents the day before I went to police college, tomorrow morning I am going to Coventry for 8 weeks, residential, because I'm now a policeman.
How do they take that news?
They were fine about it, actually.
Really?
They really were, yeah. I've got a few police members in the family. So.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So
That's
wouldn't it be the strangest thing in the world?
Tomorrow. Like
I'm going tomorrow, guys.
You're
But what?
crazy.
So, okay, but all right. Is there any specific experience? I'm thinking with one that you sent me that you had been stabbed. Can I show this picture, this headline?
I have been stabbed. It's awful.
Award for
yeah.
stabbed face.
Yeah, great.
This is you. This
Yeah.
is you.
Yeah, look how young I was. Yeah, so I was 18 and a half when I joined.
Holy snot.
I've been very, very lucky. I look back at my police career. I did 6 years in the police service, and I look back at my police career with, first of all, great pride. I'm really incredibly proud of being a very young, almost lost person. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I joined the police. And being a police officer has absolutely shaped who I am today. 100%. It's made me realize how lucky I am, how privileged I am. It's made me meet and see the worst side of humanity. Some of the incidents I went to, I look back now and it's almost like it never happened. Like, this is now a second life for me. And when I think about, blimey, I turned up at, I went to the Potter's Bar rail crash, huge disaster for our country. I spent 3 days in a safe house with John Duffy, the railway murderer, a serial killer, playing poker and watching TV and eating KFC. And, we're talking about a proper psychopath. I've been to murders, and I've been stabbed myself. So I've arrested and dealt with real high profile criminals. And I've just seen the worst of people, turning up at horrendous, child issues and domestic violence and this stuff that just happens.
Yeah.
And when I left in my mid-20s, it really gave me a sense of perspective, and it really grounded me, and it actually made me realize when I was in mid-20s that I just wanted to do something I loved, and I always loved cars. So what the police did is it gave me, first of all, the courage, and it actually gave me the push over the edge to go and do something myself. And I think I now look back, and we talk about that stabbing incident, I now look back and I realise that that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Being stabbed?
Yes.
That's kind of where I was. Where'd you go? How bad was the stabbing? Did you go somewhere? Did you have a near-death type of thing? Or was it just,
no.
oh my goodness, this gave me a semblance of this is all temporary and I have a different appreciation now? Or
I guess it's a wider issue than that. I've had over my especially through my sort of late teens, early 20s, I had an awful lot of injuries. So I lost some of my sight in my right eye. I broke my skull and cheek. I've had my nose straightened 4 times
man,
because
did they
it's
put
been
you back together well?
broken. I have metal in my hand.
Smokes.
So I've been hurt and I've been injured.
And made it through?
I guess it's strange because I don't want to go too deep.
No, but you have a different perspective. I'm just trying to wonder if that perspective shift then made you spiritual, because you said you weren't in the beginning.
You're a different kind of guy.
Yeah, or how about what did it?
Absolutely, I'm a different type. Do you know what? I didn't realize that I didn't realize I was spiritual till probably only 4 or 5 years ago.
Same here.
And it's only about 4 or 5 years ago that I suddenly went, oh, actually, that happened. And that happened. And then all
backwards.
these kind of stories started building up. And there was a particular incident when I was 23 that sticks with me now, which we're not going to talk about because it's incredibly personal.
Okay. But something happened.
Something happened when I was 23 that you just can't. And I'm an analytical person. Everything for me is about process. You know, you've seen me on the show. I am about building, and this goes after this, and 2, 3, 4, 5 to reach the end. And
there's a reason behind all of it.
And for the last almost 20 years, there is still no reason how that happened.
Wow. This thing,
which we're not going to talk about.
No, it's okay. The fact that it happened at 23, I mean, 23 is a number for some people. So, I mean, you know what I mean? All these things.
True, yeah.
I had weird things at 23 too. It's a weird number. I get it.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like it.
So whatever that was, we'll say that was the tipping point.
But I never realised then.
Oh wow.
Well, you don't, do you?
No.
You just think, and when you're younger, you kind of, you just sort of you fly by the seat of your pants, don't you? You know,
There's no other way to do it.
You don't
have the information yet, so you're doing whatever you think is right.
So I was just and in England, policing's very different. So I policed when I started. I policed a very rural area, a place called Bishop Stortford, very affluent, very rural, and a lot. I would say 3/4 of my police career for those 2 years in Bishop Stortford, I was on my own. So everybody thinks that there's hundreds of police officers running around in teams of 5 or 6. No, you know, I ran a squad car as an individual over a space the size of LA, and I would turn up on my own and have to talk my way out of some hairy situations. And I remember my first murder. I remember my first hanging. I remember my first death. I remember my first kidnapping. You know,
that's crazy. You didn't have a partner?
No.
Were you always? Did you already have discipline? Were you already a disciplined person before becoming a cop?
It's funny. I'm a huge believer in sports, so I've always played sports at a high level. I've always been in team games, so I've always found that you naturally have a sense of discipline if you're a sports person.
Yeah, I agree.
And so throughout my whole youth and my schooling, I was always prolific at playing all different types of sports. So I think naturally sports gives you a discipline anyway. And when you join the police service, it is a very disciplined environment. There is a rank structure. You have to work shifts. There is a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. So I think if you're not, you don't succeed. You leave very quickly.
Wow, it's so interesting. You are very fascinating, and we haven't even gotten to what you do for a living.
No, we haven't. We've talked about being stabbed.
Well, I don't know. That's interesting to me. And you did send the headline, so I figured it was okay.
I know it's totally fine. I mean, I see my police career is clearly in 2 defined halves, if you like. I joined the police as a police constable, and I dealt with general police issues, responding to 999 calls, and seeing and doing some really crazy stuff that I look back on and I think, oh my God, did I actually do that? Was I there? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I went armed. Being armed in the UK is very, very different.
Oh, I didn't even know they did that.
They don't.
Oh, okay.
So
my picture, I'm very old school. So in my mind, somebody says, oh, well, I picture the Bobby twirling the nightstick, whistling alone at night, walking down an empty street looking for
White
Jack the
gloves,
Ripper.
big helmet.
Yeah, you got it. And I know it's not accurate.
I
know it's not accurate, but that's the cartoon my mind draws.
Do you know what the problem is Mary Poppins has ruined it for the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't realise, and there is an element of that, and that's what's really nice. And people, the big difference between being a resident in the US and a resident in the UK is one's a police force, US, and one's a police service.
Interesting.
And absolutely, the police in the UK police with consent. The police in the US police by a police force.
Yes.
And, in the UK, you stop 100 cars, 99 of them will be annoyed, but they won't actually be aggrieved. And actually, deep down, they're thinking, do you know what, secretly, that's quite nice, because if my car was stolen, I'd get it back.
Right.
Whereas in the US, I feel that there's a very sort of aggressive way of policing. But, it's the gun culture here is very
I was
different.
going to say the people are different. Yeah, the culture is different.
Yeah, it's very, very different. It would be very difficult for me to police in the US, I'd imagine.
Well, I'm glad you're not doing that anymore. Let's
Yes.
talk about what you are doing, starting with Wheeler Dealers, because I have been a fan of the Wheeler Dealers show since it was first introduced to me when they did the DeLorean episode way back when, that early.
Wow.
The old show. A friend of whatever, Mike came to town and they did that here down in south of Los Angeles. That's when I noticed the show. I then went to the whatever it was at the time, downloaded all of the bought on iTunes all of the shows. Yes,
I think we call that binging.
I binged all the shows, and I was very happy with it. I loved the show. Everything was great. I was like everyone else. I'm very happy with this show, how it is. Then, some changes for whatever reason. They moved it to Los Angeles, and the show did change. There's no doubt about it, as a fan of it. And then, as we all know, it changed even further when there was a change in crew, for lack of a better term. I can't imagine anyone wanting to take a job filling the shoes of what was once a duo. It's just a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Sonny and Cher, neither one of them reappeared with another person. It doesn't happen that often, and generally not all that successfully when it does.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm getting at is I was a big fan of Ed China. The world was a big fan of Ed China. You were a big fan of Ed China, from my understanding.
Huge fan, still am.
Still am. Okay, great. How on earth was it to even consider this job and then to hit it out of the park?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Again, it's one of those things that you look back on now, 2.5 years later, and realise that it was the right decision for me. And at the time, it could have been the toss of a coin.
Right.
It really could have been. I remember I was doing TV in the UK anyway, so I was hosting a couple of car shows, and I was actually doing other TV. So I was hosting some travel shows for the BBC, and I actually did some craft and house shows as well for Channel 4. So I was doing, I was establishing myself as a TV host in the UK anyway, whilst running a car company. I'd known, obviously everybody knows Wheeler Dealers in my world. It's the great grandfather of all TV car restoration shows.
Right,
so
right.
I'd been working with Mike, and I'd been working with Ed, and I consider both Mike and Ed great friends. And Discovery were kind of dipping in and talking to me and talking to my agent. We're interested in this, and would you do this? And I just kept batting them back. No, I'm on my path. I'm really happy with BBC and Channel 4. And weirdly, in the UK, it's very difficult for a host to straddle two channels, especially two rival channels.
Yeah.
So I did a show called World's Most Expensive Cars, which was a co-production between Channel 4 and BBC. In fact, it's the first co-production they ever did.
You don't generally do that, yeah.
So I found myself, I was really privileged to be able to do something and allow both channels to work with me. So why would I ruin that? And then, of course...
You're building something here, right?
Yeah.
Is that the logic?
Yeah, I really am.
Yeah.
And I wasn't pushing anything. I wasn't rushing anything. I felt like I was doing the right amount of TV. I was doing stuff. I only did stuff I really enjoyed.
Yep.
So I would often get approached to do stuff, and I would just flat say no. I'm not really into that.
Didn't inspire you, or didn't light you up for whatever reason?
I just have to do something that I know I really, really love.
Right. Okay.
So and remember, I have a car company as well. So I was building cars and
Custom cars,
and I still am. So for me, emotionally, it just wasn't on the plate then. And we're talking about a toe in the, a lot of TV channels put a toe in the water, and they gauge your interest, and that happens a lot. You're in TV, and I'd say out of every 10 conversations, one only really comes off in the end.
Yeah.
It only really counts when you're.
Yeah,
you only really counts when you're filming.
and
even then, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No,
Even then.
Check and having it aired, I think, usually.
I know people that have filmed shows that have never aired.
That's what I was to say. Getting paid is one thing, and then having it air is the other.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was going through that kind of tentative honeymooning with various channels, and I've had a lot of interest with various channels, and Discovery was one of them. So overnight, it became a very real possibility. Overnight, I was asked the question. would you take over from Wheeler Dealers? And my first answer was no. And that was my answer for a long time. And, we've just had this conversation now. So now imagine I'm in the UK, I have a company in the UK, family in the UK, I have established as a TV host in the UK. And all of a sudden they want to say...
Oh, and they've already moved the show here, right?
Yeah, so it's already in America. So it's move countries, move channels, move jobs.
Life, everything.
Change your life.
Uproot everything.
Uproot
Here
everything.
you go.
Oh, and at the same time, you're replacing 50% of the world's biggest car restoration show that's been on for 16 years. And all I had going through my head at the time was, you'll either be the guy that sunk the world's biggest car.
Yeah.
You're either that guy, and it's very hard to come back from that, or you're the guy that says YOLO.
Which stands for?
You only live once. And you only regret the chances you didn't take.
Yeah, that's true too.
And there was a kind of a turning point, and I just took the gamble.
Well, I would say it's worked out swimmingly for you. Was that the case right out of the bat? I know I know people liked your performance, but you're never going to please the people right out of the... You know what I mean? It's just, there's no way to do it. It has nothing to do with you. Nobody could have done it.
Well, it's an interesting... I'm fascinated by human behavior. I'm fascinated by psychology, and I think that comes from my time in the police. So I've spent a lot of time with, especially offenders, and there's a...
Are you profiling at all times because of your background?
I think we all are,
Yeah.
when we meet people for the first time.
I guess I mean more so with experience because of what you've been through.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
And when I first joined, you have to remember as well, is that I don't think the public have really taken on the time it takes to make TV. So from the time it took for Ed to leave the show to actually getting the first episode out, we have to physically make it, and it takes time.
Yeah.
So there was this huge void. And when you've got a void, when you have silence or a big gap, that's dangerous, especially in the land of social media, because people want to fill that gap. And my dad worked in catering his whole life, and my dad used to say to me, if you have a bad meal at a restaurant, you tell 10 people. If you have a good meal, you tell one.
Yeah.
Spreading bad news is easy. Spreading good news is hard. And I think human behavior leans towards the negative. So when you've got this huge gap, and they hadn't yet seen the show, and I think Ed was quite vocal, giving the reasons why he left. There's going to be he said quite clearly there's going to be a dip in content. There's going to be less workshop time, and that was the voice before the gap. So of course that led the narrative for that dead zone.
Absolutely.
So for 6 months, while there was no Wheeler Dealers, people just wanted their show back.
There was a YouTube channel. There was a YouTube channel during that.
It's...
You know what I mean? So it seemed like one person had a voice while the others were working.
Yeah, and you have to remember as well, I think, Discovery Channel, Mike, myself, for me, it was really important that we let the show do the talking, I guess. And, there was a lot of things that were said online, and there was a lot of nasty things said. Mike particularly got a lot of death threats, which I think is ridiculous.
When he was here, he was talking about his family and everything else. Just absolutely unacceptable.
It was
behavior.
horrendous, and I got an awful lot of abuse, particularly from very brave people behind a computer screen.
Yeah, the pajama people. We call them the
pajama people.
I don't mind that. And you have to remember, I was a policeman.
I was going to ask you about this. It also goes back to sports as well before that, though, because you're also used to it. Yeah, I was an only child who was in band and spent a lot of time alone and doing this sort of thing, so I never really got that thick skin. Yeah. You kind of just deflect.
And you have to put it in perspective as well.
Okay.
Let's be honest. If Mr. Miggins in Solihull wants to email me on Twitter and tell me that I'm not as good as Ed, that's Mr. Miggins' prerogative. And...
You're not trying to change him.
Exactly. And it's funny, actually, because I've responded a few times to people online, trolls. But I've only... I do it when... I do it when they give me enough rope. Because to highlight the point is that, guys, this is just a car show. And actually, what's the alternative? Let's say Ed leaves and nobody takes over and Wheeler Dealers finishes.
Yep.
That's the alternative.
That's it. No more.
And right now, for me, it was important that the brand kept going, that we deliver brilliant content. And actually, let's put it in perspective. It is a car show about saving cars. Nothing we're doing is upsetting. we're taking a car and putting it back on the road.
Yeah,
This should be celebrated,
fun and happy,
it's fun.
yeah.
That's
And-
awesome.
but what's really strange is that, with that dead zone was horrendous, because I just had to get my head down. I had to really work hard. We had to really, deliver. And that first episode, deliberately, we did the Cosworth Third Wing, which I knew was going to be controversial, but it was quite deliberate. I just knew I had to do it. And as soon as the show started to go out and trickle out, I felt tangibly a 180.
Wow.
I felt on social media. And now, 2 years later, the difference is night and day. I would say, of course you get your odd, you're not as good as Ed, which is absolutely fine. I agree.
I don't
I'm
think
not.
it'll ever go away either.
No, I don't think it will ever go away. And you have to remember is that you don't have to have everyone like you. I think it's okay to have some people not like you. And that's the
Likability became a thing for a minute. And it's like you have to really.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. There's
Dilute who
330
you
million
are.
people in
Yeah.
America. I don't want them all to like me. Can you imagine what that party looks like?
Overwhelming.
Yes, I don't want that. And I think deep down, and I think Mike now, having had the benefit of looking back 2.5 years later, Mike now realises, and you come from a PR background, you now realise that even that negative conversation is still a conversation. And Oscar Wilde says it perfectly. The worst thing about being talked about is not being talked about. So actually, what the trolls did inevitably is they kept the narrative going in that dead zone. Because regardless of it's positive or negative, whether you pick a side, ultimately the show was being talked about. And now we know, with the benefit of 2.5 years later, that it rates higher. And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it kept it current the whole time.
That's it.
Yeah, it did.
I'll congratulate you real quick on how you handled the trolls and just leave it at that.
Thank you.
It's
Yes.
hard to do.
We can talk about trolls more if you like.
I would just like to
Leave
say a
it
job
there.
well done to both you and Mike for the shows that you're putting out. Take all of the controversy, take all of that stuff out. The content that you're putting out is very high quality, and to me, that's all that matters in the end of
It
the day.
supersedes everything else.
Just
Yeah.
my personal opinion.
Yeah, and that was it's really, really strange because you know how TV contracts work. You sit down and you decide to say yes, and then you do an agreement, and it's over a period of series or time, and you lay out your stall. And I can remember vividly, first day of production, day one, I walked in and I actually wrote a kind of a mission statement. I put it on my Instagram if you have a look, and I wrote that and I printed it 20 times and I stuck it on every door in the toilet, the kit room, the storeroom, the office. And
For
it was
you or for everybody?
for everybody.
Great, okay.
This is the car comes first. This is an established car show. I will not be the guy that sinks wheeler dealers, because we have to absolutely make great content. We have to tell social history stories. We're in a very privileged sector where people are passionate about what we do. And when you take something that's so passionate like car, we name our cars, they're parts of our family.
Right.
We cannot ruin that. We have to carry this mantle on behalf of every single wheeler dealer viewer that's been before and whoever comes that's new. And the minute we lose sight of that, and the minute we start regurgitating the rubbish that I've seen on other TV shows, is the minute we lose sight of who we are, and we have to stop. And what I think we've done is that we've managed to take something that was really great and we've managed to keep it. And it would have been really easy for us to try and change it. We got a new host, let's do something differently.
Yeah.
But actually what we did is really simple. Mike buys a car, I fix it, and Mike sells it.
Same show.
That's it. It's genius.
Yeah.
It's a good plan.
You sent a bunch of pictures. Do you want to talk about any of this stuff?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, I think they're all great, and I'm assuming some of these are cars that you built because I didn't have the narrative.
Well,
But
let's
I'll
have a
just
look.
put this
What have
up
we got?
here.
Oh yeah,
Is that also this?
yes, the same car. So I managed to when I left the police, I started a car business. I just knew that I just wanted to build cars, so I rented a cow shed off a farmer, who let me rent it rent free for a year if I fixed it, and it had a physical cow in it. I'm not even joking. It sounds ridiculous, but
No, it's amazing.
I answered an ad. I was broke.
A cow shed, I'm assuming, is a small barn of some sort.
It's a barn with a
Okay.
cow in it. Yeah. So it's in the name. So I left the police at 25, and it was a really rough period for me. I certainly don't come from a wealthy family. Both my parents worked at schools cooking school dinners, and I'm one of 4 boys. And my older brother's a scaffolder, my younger brother's now a policeman, and I just knew I didn't want to get stabbed. I wanted to build cars, and I was always building cars when I was in the police anyway. So I wanted to take this passion and something that I really loved and run with it. So I picked up a local paper, and there was a local farmer that put an advert in for some garage space. So I was like, right, I need to have a garage. I need somewhere to do this. And I went up to see this guy. His name was Tom Pateman at Marshall's Farm, I think it's called. I can't remember. And he had this little wooden garage, and I sort of went up there, and he was a really nice farmer guy. And I said, it's nice, it's just not big enough. By the time I get one car in, I can just about fit. And
No room for equipment.
But opposite was a cow shed, like it was a barn with a cow in it, no front door, just a metal gate. And I went, yeah, I kind of need something about this big. Actually, this would be perfect. And the guy was like, what?
There's a cow in there.
And I said, have you got somewhere else to put the cow? But it was the bull, because he
Oh, so it's got to be separate, yeah.
And I said, well, I tell you what, if you let me fix this up, I'll make doors, I'll brick in the back windows, I'll paint it, and it was knee deep, move the cow mess out. Will you let me rent it? Will you give me a year's rent free? And this guy was like, okay, thinking I was crazy, and I was there for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And it's a shame, because I got a really lovely picture of my kids, because my kids were very young then, painting the walls and moving out the cow dung, and I made some metal doors, and I bricked the back window in, and I didn't have any water, any heating, and the winters in England were really tough. I remember I used to go with balaclava and work on cars, and all I did was I built one car, fixed it, sold it, made a bit of profit, built another car, fixed it, sold it, made a bit of profit. I didn't pay my mortgage for 6 months. And within sort of 18 months, 2 years, locally, I got a reputation for being a guy that's good at fixing cars. So I'd get a bit of sort of bread and butter, fixing people's cars and repairing dents and all that sort of nonsense. And then I started
keeping
building
it going.
Yeah, and then I started building my own cars, and I started with replicas. And replicas really changed my world, because I started building Aston Martin replicas. And
in what way?
I built, so Aston only won Le Mans once in '59 with the DBR1, and I managed to get hold of the tooling to make the body.
Holy smokes.
So I made one body, didn't even make a chassis, and I took it to a car show in Coventry. Mm-hmm. And I just had this painted body.
Yep.
And I took an order at the car show, and the guy was a huge collector from Denmark, big time. And I got lucky, and this guy said, oh, I'll order a car. And he did, and looking back, I didn't charge enough, by the way.
Of course, sure.
But back then, it was everything. It was enough for me to build this one car, and I wouldn't have to work for another year.
Right.
It was a substantial amount of money. In fact, I remember it was £35,000, which for me back then was like, oh my gosh, I was earning 28,000 whatever as a policeman. Oh my God!
Windfall.
It's a windfall.
Well, and you're not paying your mortgage while you chase your dream over here. So
yes. And I get letters through the post saying you haven't paid your mortgage.
This is one of those moments though where I'm saved, and it's working. It's going to happen.
Life changing.
Yeah.
And I built this replica of this car. So this is a long time ago now, and it was for this huge car collector in Denmark. And he said to me, "I need you to deliver the car." So I had a friend of mine called Ben at the time, and I said, "Ben, fully paid trip. We're going to drive the two-seater convertible to Denmark on the ferry." And anyway, we landed. We left Hook of Holland in England. We left Harwich in England, and took the ferry, which is 24 hours over to Holland.
Holy smokes!
And we were literally the only people on this ferry. I remember in the evening we were sat in the bar, and there was a waiter in the bar, and there was a guy on a guitar. And they had a cocktail list, but I was saying, well, let's just work our way through the cocktail list. This is great.
Yeah, start at the top.
Jürgen's picking up everything. So this guy was playing, and he was really good. And he goes, oh, do you take any requests? And by then I'd had a few cocktails. So I thought I'd be cheeky and go, yeah, do you know any Matchbox 20? And it turns out he knew every Matchbox.
Oh, my.
So picture the guitar guy, the barman, Ben and me, drunk as 10 men, singing Matchbox 20, and then we landed in Holland with a huge hangover, and Jürgen met us, and I ended up staying with Jürgen at his house for 5 days, and on the second day he says to me, oh, you must go to Tivoli. I said, that's my best Danish accent, by the way.
Unmistakable.
You must go to Tivoli. And I said, oh, what's Tivoli? And he goes, for a tourist, it's a really exciting thing. Go to Tivoli. I'll arrange a car for you in the morning. Go to Tivoli. You go over the bridge, through the toll road, and you drive for a few hours. So, okay. So the next morning we woke up, and outside the house of Jürgen's house was the King of Denmark's bulletproof Saab with the flags. And he said, oh, take this because you don't have to pay the toll.
Oh, my God.
So we went over the bridge, And there was a huge line. He goes, just go in the left lane. And as Ben and me are driving this bulletproof car, the toll opens and everybody stands there saluting. So, and in the end...
And you have full permission, so there's no impersonating. There's nothing like that. Wow.
So I see that as a very big turning point in my car career, because it took me from being in a cow shed doing one-off, to selling a car to a big international collector who then told his friends. And I got to know Jürgen and his family really well. I stayed at his house for 5 days, and I drove the king of Denmark's bulletproof car.
Amazing.
And I went to Tivoli, and I came back from that trip, and I had two or maybe three more orders.
Wow.
So it went into his collection.
That's
and
awesome.
then I then started building a reputation for building replicas. So I was making they look like Aston Martins, but totally modern
Okay.
engine, modern running gear. And then from there, I finished making replicas forever 2 or 3 years ago, and I started designing my own cars. So that grey car that you
I'll
saw
put
just
it right
then,
back
that
up.
Comet,
Sure.
that's a car I designed. So from scratch. So chassis, suspension, steering, interior.
You put
body.
all that together visually,
The
like that was
whole
your
car.
idea?
Yeah, the whole car's made from
Holy
scratch.
cow.
That's
It's gorgeous.
That's a cool, it's a cool car, and it's a kind of for me, there's two periods in the car world that stand out. There's the 50s, 60s, so GT cars, 250 short wheelbases, DB4
sure.
Zagatos. That's a period where the world's most beautiful cars were made. And then the 30s, when cars were about racing. You had privateers taking boat-tailed single-seater races around Le Mans and Grand Prix race cars and Bentley boys, and those two periods for me are the two most iconic eras, and that's why I tried to capture the 50s and 60s.
We equate it to the Wild West out here. I'm sure there's some other analogy for you guys, but no rules. A time when there seemed to be very little rules.
No
Very
rules.
little oversight, little
No rules,
regulation.
and brave.
Yeah.
Those 30s racers, they were brave.
Well, you had to be, right? Because the death rate was quite high.
It's quite high. No seatbelts. If you started to roll in the drive, you'd have to jump out.
Bail, bail.
It's crazy if you think about it. Seats were made of wicker.
Rubber, the goggles and the rubber helmets.
I mean, what's that leather helmet going to do?
Yeah, leather helmets.
Keep your broken skull in one place.
Keep it in a bag for you.
Yeah, fair play.
All right, well, what's going on with you lately? You've got another TV show in the works, and like we mentioned, you have a kid coming soon. But you also seem to be paralleling a career with your wife.
Yes.
That's not in no means intentional, right?
Oh gosh, no! And
It just sort of worked out?
It just worked out, and it leads me back to that whole kind of fate and spiritual path. It's really strange. I meeting Christina.
And she's on the HGTV.
Yeah, so Christina hosts an established double act show out here called Flip or Flop,
Right,
Which
huge
is a big
show.
show out here, and her and her ex-husband have hosted that show. They're in their 8th season. They're filming their 8th season right now.
Oh, her co-host is her ex-husband?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Now it's awkward.
Oh man.
It's not.
It feels
at all.
awkward for me, but it seems like it should be for you or them or something else.
Do you know
I just
what?
didn't realize.
I think
There's nothing
everybody
odd about
wants it to be awkward, but actually, I
But
think it's amazing. I mean, the fact that both Tarek and Christina are able to work together, I think it's absolutely admirable.
Yeah,
and
I
I take
agree.
my hats off to both of them because they have children together. They're bound together forever because of their children, and the fact that they can maintain a career and build a career and be old enough and adult enough and mature enough to do it together, I think is really, really good. In fact, I know a load of divorced couples that could really take a leaf out of their books. So I have to take my hats off to both Tarek and Christina.
Such a
Kudos
good
to
guy,
you, man.
mister.
Yeah, it's right though,
You're a
isn't
good
it?
dude.
So
I think you just see things how they are, and then you just call it.
it's
You know what I mean? This is one of those
perspective.
things. Yes.
Yeah, it is one of those things. And, Christina and I are both incredibly lucky. And, again, it was a complete chance meeting. I mean, how
did you guys meet? Can you tell us? Is that a story?
Yeah, so
or-
I went to a car show. There's a car show at Barber Island every Sunday morning. And in the Fun Zone there, great little car community
The
in Newport
Fun Zone.
Beach.
I love it.
It's called the Fun Zone, yeah.
Yep.
It's a great little car community in Newport Beach. Every Sunday morning they get together, this really dedicated group of car guys. And I went one morning and there was this really loud guy called Walter, who from the other side of the car park just screams at me, "Hey, car guy!" I watch your show. I'm like, oh no. Hi. Now everybody knows. Maybe even people in Huntingdon know. This guy's unbelievably nice.
No, I know what you mean.
And
Though.
we
The
just-
moment you're trying to just kind of mingle
just-
and blend
Exactly.
in, and then all of a sudden,
And this guy's literally screaming at me, yeah, I love your car show, nice to meet you. And actually, turned out Walter was a legend. Really, really lovely guy. And he was a car guy. Because let's be honest, car guys are legends. Anyway, so I'm chatting with Walter, and we leave. And that was it. That was just a first meeting. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I'd agreed to have breakfast with Mike. And we agreed to meet in Woody's at, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I go into Woody's at
Woody's
5
Burger Barn?
Woody's diner, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So I go to Woody's at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's now 5 to 9, and now it's 10 past 9. You know Mike, he's never late.
Yeah, no.
Mike's never late.
Not a chance.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, something must be wrong. I hope
Car
he's
trouble,
okay. I
something,
can't get hold of him, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to give it a little, another 15 minutes. So I'm sat at the bar of Woody's having a coffee, and from the other end of the bar, I hear, car guy!
Oh, yeah! Walter!
So I'm like, oh. And he's like, well, I'm waiting for someone as well. Let's wait together.
I love this guy.
I love this guy already.
So I'm having a coffee now with Walter, and I'm half checking Mike. And actually, we started talking, and I realised that Walter had gone through a divorce and had children, and he was a car guy, and he's older than me, and he had some really good advice.
So you were supposed to meet Walter.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to meet Walter, and it was really good advice. And then I realised there was 2 Woodies in Newport, and I went to the wrong Woodies. So I've now engrossed with Walter. I checked my phone. I've got 5 messages from Mike. Where are you?
Thinking, are you okay?
I'm like, I'm having a coffee at the bar. I can't see you. And we worked out I was at the wrong Woodies.
Alternate realities here.
Yeah, so anyway, so it meant that I changed numbers with Walter. Now, at the same time, without me realising, Christina goes to a charity event for a charity that helps with victims of domestic violence, female victims of domestic violence. So she's at this charity event. And the only guy in the room is Walter. So she's at a table with Walter, and they got talking.
They don't know each other.
No, never met,
Yep.
and this is a month earlier. Turns out they live in the same town in Yorba Linda, and they change numbers because Walter is associated with Disney. So Walter's like, well, look, you've got kids, and I'd love to give you guys a trip to Disney.
Oh,
and
lovely.
they became friends over the next sort of few weeks. And then one morning, I randomly get this text from Walter. Are you ready to date yet? And I replied, absolutely 100% no. Not interested. No, thank you.
Especially not from you, Walter.
Yeah,
you're
especially
not
not
my
from you.
setup guy.
Yeah. And then he sent me a picture of Christina, and I was like, I'll do it.
Yes.
Where and when?
I'll do it. I'm in. At the same time, he texts Christina saying, are you ready to date? And she said no. And we swapped numbers, and I phoned her up one evening, and I can remember it because, again, I was meeting Mike, but I was 30 minutes early at this meeting point. So I'm parked in the car park outside the restaurant. So I'm on my in-car, and I phone up, hi, I got your number from Walter, and we ended up having a chat. And it was exactly 29 minutes long because I was 30 minutes early, and as Mike pulled in, because Mike's like clockwork, I looked at my phone, I was like, oh, that was strange. That was a half an hour phone call. But then I was off to SEMA the next day. So I couldn't meet up with Christina straight away, so I had to go and host some stuff for Discovery at SEMA with Mike. So the next day I FaceTimed her, and it was like 2.5 hours. And I didn't realise, and we just hit off straight away. And then we'd agreed that I was landing from SEMA at John Wayne Airport, and that she would pick me up at the airport, and we would then go on a double date with Walter. So Walter had arranged this wine tasting evening at a place. So so I landed, and there's Christina outside the airport. Jumped in the car. Hi, it's actually nice to really meet you. Can we quickly go to my house? I'm going to change. I've just come from Vegas. And ever since we met, that's it.
Wow.
I knew straight away.
Well, that's a familiar tale, believe it or not. It's a similar story.
It's really weird. And weird things happen though. Like when we came into our house, there's always been this kind of strange synergy. And she made a kind of a flippant throwaway mark, going, "Oh yeah, my mum mentioned a film. It's Notting Hill, right?
Oh, I love Notting Hill.
Anyway, so
Charmingly
she goes,
befuddled.
and it's about a British guy that meets an American actress. She goes, oh, my mum, I told my mum that I was, like 2 weeks ago or whatever, and she changed her sat-nav to a British voice. So she said, oh, I'm going to meet a British guy. She changes her sat-nav to a British voice, and her mum says, oh, you need to watch Notting Hill. So she goes, about 2 weeks before you called me, I sat down and I watched Notting Hill, and I was like, really? What day was that? And she goes, why? No, why is that significant? I mean, just tell me, what day was it? So we're standing in my living room, about to go to this wine event, and she goes, oh, hang on. So she went through, and she goes, yeah, I watched it Wednesday, whatever it was, at this time, and I went, hang on a minute. And I'd pay-per-view to watch Notting Hill the same night.
Stop.
Not even joking, at the same time.
That's awesome.
And randomly, and bear in mind it's an old movie, I've seen it loads of times, just 2 or 3 weeks before we'd even met, I just decided to sit down one day and go, I'm on my own, and I'm just going to watch a movie. I'm going to watch Notting Hill.
We are very connected. That's exactly what I would do. Do you both subscribe to Horse and Hound now?
Very good.
I love that movie.
Very good.
I
yeah.
love that
It's a great movie.
It's a great scene in a great movie.
Yeah, it is. And ever since we've met, the weirdness has been, I mean, it has been incredibly weird. Even the kids' birthdays, I mean, I think that's weird.
That's weird.
The chances of us both having an oldest daughter and
it's
a younger
not one
son,
variable. It's many, many variables, and they all align.
all align. There's, like, my birthday's the same as her grandma's. I mean, I don't want to go into too many weird stuff because people will tune out, because people will go, you're crazy.
It's as meant to be gets.
Yeah, and it's weird. So we met that night at the wine tasting event, and we've lived together ever since.
I love that.
I love that too.
Sean, what am I missing? Is there anything specific?
Talking about the 356.
Oh yeah, of course your Porsche
And my new show.
356 and the new show we didn't get
Oh
to.
my
that.
gosh.
My goodness.
We've spent so much time talking about
Well, you know
stabbings.
What? This is what happens every time.
spirituality.
We've created such a space here that it ends up being very, it's a get to know you. You know what I mean? And then people come back, and then it's kind of like, then we get to questions and stuff. This, I feel like I'm literally getting to know the guy that's on the TV, and you're just so fucking cool that, you know, we're going to miss some stuff the first time.
Oh, bless you. Thank
And
you.
I want to meet your wife.
You want to get her on here?
Great.
Awesome.
The truth, here's the truth, and you are the only one who actually will know this about me. Before I watched a single car show, even though I've liked cars my whole life, I'm the HGTV, I'm the makeover a house guy. I loved Trading Spaces back in the day when that was like the first one, you know, Paige Davis. So I actually love your wife's show and all of the shows like it.
Yeah, weirdly, I've only ever watched one episode where she sat me down and made me watch it.
But I found...
This is what I do.
Once somebody, my friend was on Wheeler Dealers and said, you should watch this, I saw it and I was like, well, this is just a makeover show. Oh, I love it. Makeover show for cars. This is it. And that's what got me into like watching the Velocity at the time and all of the other shows. So I have a feeling I might actually hit it off with her as well, and I know you will.
Well, I will ask her on your behalf.
I was going to say I can't, maybe after the baby's born. I have a feeling you guys might be busy
Maybe
for a little bit.
she is incredibly busy. She's obviously finishing season 8 of Flip or Flop. Her and Tarek are finishing that together. Okay. And then she's in the middle of filming a new show, which has done phenomenally well. I'm so proud of her.
You should be. I'm sure she's proud of you. All right, what's your new show? We don't have a name, right? We're not saying the name because it's working
well, have you got... I mean, you're a TV guy. You're creative people. If you
Yes.
have any name ideas... Obviously, I have to say on behalf of Discovery Channel, you don't get any commission, any cut.
Right. Nice disclaimer up front.
Some lawyer's going to...
Ant's new show.
Ant's new show, yeah. So Wheeler Dealers is this sort of classic car restoration phenomenon. And it takes a lot of time to make that show. And last series, we did 27 episodes, which is the most in 17 years that have ever been made in a year. Because we really...
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And they're our shows.
Jeez.
So we've really hit our stride. We know what we're doing. We know how to make it. We have a really fantastic team. Sean's part of that team.
I was going to say, when Sean was here, I think we talked about this, but what's your production schedule? How many days are your shoots? 5-day shoot?
Yeah, I mean, in the thick of it, we were doing 6 days a week. I would start filming at 8 and finish at 7. It's heavy.
But production-wise, is it 5 days to an episode, 6-day show?
No, it takes about eight
is it all
and a half
different
days,
because-
I guess, per car. But we're not doing
And
one
you
car at the same
overlap?
time.
I gotcha. So you do multiples. Okay.
So we film in batches of 8 cars. So we deliver 9 shows, 8 cars and 1 best of.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we've just come off the back. So we did it We did 18 episodes in my first year, and I've just finished my second year. We did 27 episodes, so we're kind of exhausted.
That is so much television. That is so much content to produce.
For 27.
My hat's off to all of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a monumental task to physically restore 24 cars in a year.
Yeah.
Forget
Let
about
alone
filming
tape
Right.
it.
And I'm saying to the production team, because we have non-car people as well. We have good editors that don't know cars. We have
Right.
good soundmen that don't know cars, although our soundman does know cars.
No, that makes perfect sense.
That if you was to drive your classic into a garage and say, fix my fuel system and bring it out the next day, you'd be surprised. And actually, that's what we're doing. We are running a proper car business
Right.
where we do restore cars. The fact that we film it can almost get in the way, but of course it only happens if you film it. So I think it's remarkable that the team that we've amassed this really great team of creative people that really have the show's interests at heart.
Yeah.
And what they do is they care about the car. We do right by the car, I believe, and as long as the car comes first, and it goes back to that mission statement, as long as the car comes first and we don't do anything silly, because we're not we're in this unique space where Wheeler Dealers is about rescue. It's about being honourable. It's not about putting a 500 brake horsepower and a shiny exhaust and a big body kit and flashy wheels. That's not our space. We don't really need to go there. Although ironically, we did do a quarter-mile drag car recently, which I don't think is available yet. So anyway, we've ended this really chaotic 12 months, 27 shows, high pressure, really tough schedule.
Right.
And it's like, finally, I can get a few weeks off. But what are we going to do next?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have
He's a guy who likes to work.
I'm like, right, come on, what's next? So, Mike and I are, I think, incredibly lucky. We are the two luckiest guys on the planet because we get to do something that we're passionate about and we get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So our job is to restore. I still can't work it out. What's the catch, right?
Yeah.
So
You're waiting to wake up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, we finished our current production, and it turns out that we can't physically start Wheeler Dealers again till August because it just takes that long to build up production again. Mike has to find cars, he has to choose them.
You have to assemble a team, get your space, the whole thing.
Exactly. So we've got this kind of dead zone, which now isn't being filled with trolls.
Hey.
So we've got this dead zone. So what's ended up happening is that the network has trusted us. They've said, do you know what? We've got a bit of space.
And you have a track record now.
What do you fancy? So Mike
What do you fancy as in what do you want to do?
What do I want to do?
I mean, a blank check is
Killer.
amazing.
Blank.
A creative blank check. I mean, that's
it.
incredible. Incredible.
What do you
Doesn't
want to
happen.
do? So what the network have done is they've absolutely trusted Mike and me to choose our own show.
Wow.
And what Mike's done is he did an old show called Trading Up, where and I think he's
That
talked
was the
about it
UK
already.
show, yeah.
So where he goes to a member of the public who has a car but has aspirations to get into a better car.
Right.
And within 2 or so, he'll fix that car, sell it for a profit, buy another, fix it, sell it for a profit.
Oh, I've seen that. He does that on his own. That's just a
So
different show.
Mike is doing a solo show. Ironically, he's doing it with a new mechanic who's brilliant, a guy called Elvis.
Okay.
I mean, you can't not be brilliant and be called Elvis. Can you imagine being rubbish and being called Elvis?
No.
You are the butt of every joke. So Elvis is a legend.
I love your perspective. It's so fantastic.
So
It's
he
great.
comes from an F1 background. He's an F1 mechanic. So Elvis and Mike are doing this. It's going to be called Mike's Dream Rides, where he's going to be restoring cars on behalf of the public, taking them from their average car into something rather sexy. It's funny, when he put a picture out of him and Elvis on their first day filming, I was the first to reply saying, "Where's Ed?" And I got a lot of abuse.
Bravo. Bravo.
Some guy says to
Bravo.
me, "That's out of order," and I said, "No, I've earned that. 2 years of sustained abuse.
You're
I
wrong,
earned
man.
every bit of that."
Firm, planted, feeding.
Yes.
Footing.
So
That's
he's
You're
doing
fine.
his solo show, and so he's going to be in the UK till August because we start Wheeler Dealers again in August. So he has to film that, get it done, get it banked, and it will air on Discovery and Motor Trend. So I was asked, "What do you want to do?" And my background is building cars from scratch.
Yes.
That
takes a longer time.
It does, obviously. What show would I want to do in Mike's absence? I want to do the garage bit. If you take a Wheeler Dealers episode and you remove Mike, the buy and the sell, and he goes and does a process,
Just you and the
I just
cave.
wanted a garage bit. And it was a big reach for Discovery because to do one car over a period of episodes means that we are asking the viewer to invest their time with us. We're asking them to start episode 1 and take it all the way to the end. And, you know, it's a leap of faith from the network, but I'm really excited. I get to do 12 episodes on one car, which is a real change in the car landscape.
I recognize you're saying it's a leap of faith. I don't see it as much that way because of the actual faith they have in you. Because
it seems like a
you've
docu-series.
Yeah, and
that's
really
the difference.
Set the stage.
What's the difference?
That it is a
docu-series. Okay, I was going to say it's not a new model in that I think of American Chopper or you know the Graveyard Cars. The guys, you know, none of those things are done in an episode. It's sort of like, oh, you live with these people at their shop wherever that happens to be, whether you like them or not, and then you know whatever unfolds. Those were very produced. I don't imagine, just knowing you for this brief time, I don't imagine yours will be produced that way.
No.
Everything I would imagine is very authentic and real.
I'm very anti-produced,
Yeah.
scripted. I'm very anti that. I mean,
Love
the guys at Wheeler Dealers absolutely know that.
Yeah.
Which is really good because they give me the freedom to do what's right for the car. But because this is a car it's in my head. I'm making a car from anything, bits of, you know, I'm taking a chassis off that and an engine from that and a gearbox from that, and I might need to make bits there, and at the end of it I know what it's going to look like in the end. I just know.
Right.
So how we do that, how we build the car, is just going to happen. And we shot our first day about 2 weeks ago because it needs to...
Oh, you're already in production?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
And it needs to feel very different to Wheeler Dealers. And Wheeler Dealers, as you know, it works in a TV format.
Yeah.
Mike's bit.
Segment.
Yeah.
The segments are all...
So the range, you know, the handcuffs are off. There is no format.
So will your show be basically directed in the edit then? They're just going to capture what you do?
Yeah.
That's great.
And the great thing is as well is that a lot of... Because it goes on Motor Trend first... a lot of linear TV, a lot of TV is bound by adverts, and it's bound by...
Structuring.
Yeah, so you either have to do a 22-minute show, which is 30 plus the adverts, or a 42-minute show. This is just let it run.
Not on the app. It's
so there's no adverts. If we deliver episode 1 and it's 32 minutes, it's 32. If episode 3's 62 minutes, it's 62. So it gives the editor real freedom to let the show breathe. And I watched...
Tell the story.
Exactly. And I watched the first... So we did a filming day where I get into the chassis and I strip down so I bought an old chassis, and I watched the first pass of the edit, and it's like 15 minutes, and it was really fun. I talked to the crew. I'm having a conversation with the sound man. The cameraman puts the camera down and picks the chassis up with me. We catch a light. Because I just don't, you know, I feel the public are informed. They know how TV's made.
Yes.
And so we break the third wall all the time. And I'm genuinely building this car. So even without the TV show, I was always building the car. It was only when they said, oh, we've got this window, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to build this car anyway.
Why not just capture it?
Why don't you just film it? And when you learn about the car I'm building and the history of that car, it adds a completely different dynamic, because it's a significant story that I don't believe the American public are fully aware of because of the type of car it is. So I'm hoping that when it comes to the American car fans, they're going to be opened up to this whole new genre of cars, and they're going to love it because it is about passion.
Wow, that's awesome. You will reveal this in time, but not today, right? What kind of car it is?
Yes.
That'll be on the show. Great.
Yes.
Great. Oh,
and
so much to look forward to.
And I've got a feeling, actually, we officially start filming episode 1 officially, although we've started on Monday.
Sure. Oh.
And I've heard a rumor that it'll be on TV. We'll be on episode 5 when it starts to air. So I've heard a rumor that it's going to be on Motor Trend in about 6 weeks. Now, don't hold me to that.
Well,
But
that's
it's
amazing
coming
because
soon.
of the
Pressure.
Having worked in episodic television, that's how scripts work. You know what I mean? You've got 22, and when 3 is being filmed, 1 is airing, and you're always
yes.
fighting against that clock.
Yeah.
That's just making the television. I'm not building a car at the same time. You know what I mean?
But it leaves no room for error.
That's kind of what I'm saying. You've got multiple deadlines now: television deadlines, car deadlines.
If I blow the engine on
multiple
testing,
production deadlines.
when we blow the engine on testing, it happens.
I guess that's it. That's part of the story. Is that exciting to you then? More live?
I actually
Not
asked
live,
it to be
but-
live.
Really?
Yeah, I've done a lot of live TV.
I love live
I've done a
TV.
lot of live for BBC. I actually hosted a really big BBC show a couple of years ago called Britain's Greatest Inventions, where we talked about, and it was live.
Okay.
And I really, really love live TV. It's
Energetically, right?
it's just a whole different vibration in the room, and it's done. So I did ask
Oh, I love that. No post, you're saying. Yeah, you're up and out. You shut the cameras off and you go home.
It's done. It's real. It's funny because Mike's done a lot of live TV as well, and we've both asked to do a Wheeler Dealer live show, which I'm touch wood, I hope it happens. I think it's something that Discovery
that would be awesome.
Yeah, if anyone at Discovery is listening, which, by the way, if I've offended anyone, is probably unlikely.
Here you go, 4 right here.
If anybody at Discovery is listening, we'd like to do more live TV. Thank you.
All right, well, we've gone way long, and I'm conscientious of your time. I hope that we get a chance to do this again. I'm
of course.
very fond of you, and if there's anything we can do to help you guys, the Wheeler Dealers, the whole team, you know that we love
make
you,
some
your
live
family. Live TV.
Don't stab anyone.
Discovery, we're on it.
We're on it, right. Here, we've got a studio. Can we get a car in here? No, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Is there anything else we didn't cover? We got the show.
My
The
Porsche.
356. Yeah, the Porsche 356. How we would be remiss to not talk Porsche for at least a moment here.
Oh my gosh! So this is
This is the car you were going to drive here last time. You were looking
This
forward
is
to coming,
unbelievable.
and you're going to do Mulholland.
yeah. This is unbelievable. I was 40 recently. I know. It doesn't look it. That was your chance. You could have come in then.
Congratulations. No, I won't do it.
Happy birthday.
So I was 40 recently, and unbeknownst to me, in fact, Sean was in on it. Unbeknownst to me, there was this whole kind of behind the scenes, led by Christina. What shall I get Ant for his 40th?
Oh, get out of town.
So at the same time, we're restoring our house, which is part of her new show. So
Oh
Christina
my
and
God,
I,
you guys are, everything is just weaved together, isn't it?
we got this house together, and it's beautiful, and it needed a lot of work. So as part of her new show, there's this, you get to see a bit of us designing and building our own home, and it's really lovely. And in our own home, we've got this amazing garden, and we wanted a ping pong table. So we've been, and I can't tell you the amount of texts we've had over this one? No. This one? No. I tell you what, if somebody ever got hold of my phone and read the text between Christina and me, it's like the ramblings of two
You're
mad
crazy.
people.
You're nuts, yeah.
So we have this whole conversation about ping pong tables. Anyway, the morning of my 40th, she wakes up and she says, "Oh, the ping pong table's here."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, right? She goes, "Oh, will you go and sign for it?" And I'm in bed, and I'm like, "No, you go and sign for it." "Oh no, there's a delivery driver there, and I'm in my pajamas." So I got up in my underpants and I start walking out. She goes, "No, put some clothes on." I'm like, "Why?" It's a delivery driver, it'll be fine. Put some clothes. Did you snort?
Yes.
She just snorted.
all the time.
Anyway, so she made me so I put a hoodie on, put some tracksuit bottoms on, and I went outside, and on the driveway was a matching numbers 1958 Porsche 356 with a big red ribbon on the roof.
Holy smokes.
Good job, Christina.
Like the
That's
worst ping pong
amazing.
table ever. The ball like pings
I was going
off.
to say, that's never going to work. Did it even have a rally stripe
Yeah.
by the side?
It's, even now I'm speechless. I'd have been happy with socks.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I absolutely had no idea that behind the scenes, Sean, Mike, Nicholas Hunzinger, Nicholas Hunzinger and Mike probably turned down 4 or 5. And
for
talk
cars.
about fate as well, is that Christina started saying to the guys, I think weeks, like 8 or 9 weeks in advance, "Can you try and find this Porsche?" Months in advance. And she was saying, "Look, I really want to get Ant a Porsche." Because we have a vision board, we have a dream
Love
board.
it. Yeah.
So I had put, and this is the weird thing, and I had put a picture of, and I've got a better vision board story about our house, but I put a picture of a Porsche, silver Porsche, on the vision board. I'm like, do you know what? I quite fancy getting a Porsche. In the next couple of years, I really want to get a 356. What that car represents from a car perspective is really important to me.
Yes. Agreed.
I want to get a 356 going on a vision board. And if it goes on a vision board, it's going to happen.
Yes.
So it's been on the vision board for ages. So of course, Christina then behind my back contacts the Mike and the crew and says, "Look, can we get a 356? I really want to get one." And they looked at loads, turned loads down, and just didn't find one. So she sent a text saying, "Look, that's it. We'll do it after the birthday. I'll get socks." Now I think my birthday was on the Monday, and on the Friday, the neighbour opposite us walked over and went, "Do you want a 356? My mate's selling one in Ohio." And she's like, "What? How did you know?" She goes, "Oh, I heard that you were after one." "Yeah, he's selling," and it was. She goes, "Yeah, I'll take it." And because she leads a spiritual life as well, she was like,
She knew it was meant to be.
"I'll just take that 356." And it turns out it was the right matching numbers, silver. It was restored in 2001, owned by this elderly gentleman, and sure enough, it worked out. I have a better vision board story. but it's crazy.
It's up to you.
It's up to you,
I've got
man.
the
It's your
time
show.
if you've got. No, I've got the time if you do. I'm
Right,
appreciative
so
of
Christina and I have a vision board.
your sharing.
And we like to put our aspirations, whether it's, so for example, before she got a solo show, she put on, "Do you know what, I'd like a solo show." Me as well. And she put on the vision board very, very early. We knew that we were going to be together. And she was living in her old marital home in Yorba Linda, so we knew that it's time to move on. Pastures New, which is covered in her new show. So she just went on. She has a very particular style. It's kind of like a sort of a farmhouse, beachy, very whites and blacks, very open aired. So she went on Google and just put in Californian beach home, and she printed 2 houses, cut them out, put one in like the drawer of the dresser and one on the vision board. You know what? We just want to get a nice beach house. Anyway, at the time we were looking at loads of houses, and we'd offered on this house, and we'd offered like very, very close to asking a really fair offer.
Yeah.
And we were convinced we were going to get this house. And in the end, the buyer just pulled out on us and just said no. But we'd already, Christina's already sold her home. I've already given up my home. We're moving in together. So we're like, oh, we're going to have to go into rented for a while. So when we found out that we weren't getting the house that we'd bid on, we were driving around the neighbourhood around Newport Beach going, well, let's just have a look at what open houses are available.
Yes.
But we had to go. She was doing a speaking engagement the next day, and it was a long way away, like it was a 4-hour drive away. So we're like, well, let's just drive around for half an hour, have a look round, and then we've got to go to this thing, spend a night and do your speaking engagement. So we then stopped on the corner of Cliff Drive in Newport Beach. And I looked out the window and I went, that's the vision board house.
The actual one.
The one that you... And she's like, get your phone out. Have you got a picture of the vision board? So, and sure enough, we stopped outside the house that was the actual house that was printed a year earlier, probably, maybe not 9 months earlier, and placed on the board. Oh, that's really weird.
Yeah, the story doesn't end here.
But we have to go. So we drove 4 hours to her event, booked into the hotel, and got an Uber to a bar. And I can't remember where we were, but it was a long way away. And the Uber took us to the beach, and there was a bar, and we're now sat on the beach going, can you believe we parked outside the vision board house?
Yeah.
And we're still talking about it. In fact, we talked about it the whole journey. So she gets her phone out, and she's like, right, let's work out where it was. Right, well, we came out of Dover Shores, and we turned left, and we worked out it was Cliff Drive. So we worked out the number it was on Cliff Drive so that we could start doing a bit of research.
Absolutely.
And we'd found out that it was only
You
bought...
mean Zillow, things like that, right?
It was only bought within the last 12 months. And I accidentally pressed the corner of her phone on maps, and we were sat in Cliff Drive, but 4 hours away, in the same name street. I'm going, oh, this
You
bar.
mean where this bar
So
you
we're
were
sat
at?
in a bar in Cliff Drive, talking about Cliff Drive, Newport, 4 hours away. So I'm like, that's really weird. So
Having never intended to go to either one.
No. So we then obviously go back to the room, and she does her event the next day, smashes it out of the park like she normally does, annoyingly.
So good.
And we drive back going, we still can't stop talking about the Vision House. So we drive up to it. I knock on the door.
Of course.
And a lady answers with a massive dog. Can I help? Look, I'm really sorry. We do this a lot in England. Yeah, your house isn't for sale, is it? Oh, no, it's not for sale. Oh, okay, I'm really sorry to intrude. But let me take your number. So I was, oh, okay.
Everything's for sale.
If they take your number, it's for sale. Next day, I get a call from the agent. And the agent that happened to be the one that knew another agent who then, when we realised how much that house was and what we wanted, that then opened up a second conversation, said, oh, actually, I got another one on, and we bought that house.
No kidding.
So
It's a great story.
it's it's weird. Fate.
Holy smokes. No, I mean...
111.
Yeah, absolutely. All the way
It's
around.
crazy, yeah.
Gosh, good for you. You are deep.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. You delivered in
Do
every
you know
way.
what we haven't?
I was
Anyway,
looking
so the
forward...
Porsche. We didn't talk about the Porsche.
Still, again, look at this.
Oh my gosh! So the Porsche. So I then come out, and there's this Porsche 356 red bow on the roof, and it turns out my wife for my 40th bought me a Porsche. I mean, how much pressure does that put on every other wife?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel
Horrendous.
it. Good job, Christina.
50's a boat for sure.
What colour are you going for?
No.
Oh damn. So So
I don't get involved in that stuff.
so I'm incredibly lucky that I've married to a car girl, because she is a car girl.
Oh, is that true?
Oh yeah, she loves her cars. She's driven the Mustang more than me.
Really?
In
So
fact,
that's what you drove here today, the Mustang,
Yeah, so
Mustang Sally.
Sean drove.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sean drove it.
and it was called Mustang. I know Mustang Sally's obvious, but I bought that car off a woman called Sally.
Oh.
And she bought the car brand new in 1965 from Newport Beach Ford. I was at Balboa Car Show again, and a guy comes up to me and Mike and says, "Oh, my neighbour has retired. Her husband passed away a few years ago, and she's moved into a smaller house, and she wants to get rid of this Mustang. It's in the garage." So we just drove straight up there, and I bought the car.
Wow.
And she negotiated as part of the price that I have to give her a drive in the car
Oh,
when
I
it's
love
restored.
that. Sure.
And I'm taking her out next week.
Love it. So this was a shakedown. You brought holy smokes.
This what really was the shakedown.
Really
This is the
very
longest
impressive.
drive it's ever done. And Christina learned in a 66 Mustang. So when she came up with me, she was chatting away going, "Oh, I've just had this message from a friend of mine called Sally." And my dad had a gold Mustang, 66.
Nope.
With sex, sex, sex written on the back because someone put it on their wedding day in butter and they couldn't get it off the paint. And I was like, "Oh, that's really weird because this is a 65. But don't worry, her name's not Sally." And then she answered the door and went, "Hi, I'm Sally."
Unbelievable.
So we bought the Mustang there and then. And
now you do believe in fate and kismet and all those things.
I do believe in fate, yeah. It was amazing.
You're awesome, man.
Yeah, sorry,
You're
we've
awesome.
probably run over now.
No.
You're amazing.
There is. It's like you said, whatever. Thank you. Thank you for
No, you're
coming.
welcome.
Thank you for coming back, the whole thing. And please, let's do something again, whether it's
Yeah,
this
of course.
show or something professional, working together or something.
I was thinking more like a barbecue.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Barbecue.
Actually, my barbecues are mean. Like I cook a mean barbie.
And now I know where you live, so.
Yeah, true. I'll quickly take it off the vision board. No, it's been great, guys.
Thank you, Ant. Mrs. Ryan, who do we have tomorrow? Oh, no, you know what? Hang on. How do we find you on social media? I always forget about this.
Right, social media. I'm
then I'll
on
do a
Twitter
video.
and Instagram.
All right.
I have to
Those are your two?
I have to. Yeah, I do have Facebook, but I don't really use it. But I really got into Instagram. Do you know what I like? I love social media. I think social media is really important. It's a really good way to keep up to date with people that you know or think you don't know, and it's a really good place for information. I think the positive side of social media far outweighs the negative side. So I'm going to try and do more.
What are your social media handles?
So on Instagram, I'm at Ant_Anstead. For some reason, Ant Anstead wasn't available. I want to meet that guy.
There's another Ant Anstead?
I don't know. And on Twitter, I'm just at Ant Anstead.
Okay.
There you go.
And people should follow you.
People should follow me.
People should keep up with what you're doing.
Yes, because I post random stuff like cake and football. Because I love soccer, football. You call it soccer.
But cake, I was stuck on that.
Oh, I'm a massive cake fan. Like, I think in my bio it says professional cake eater.
Is that true?
Absolutely true. Yeah.
What bio?
On my social media one.
It's unbelievable. You are a riot, man.
Yeah, cake riot.
All right, Mrs. Ryan. Tomorrow we've got Bobby Slayton. Thursday
Yeah.
we've got Chris and Andrew Florin. That'll be cool. Two huge Porsche files, father son, and that's what we've got this week. Is that it?
It's
a lot.
It's a lot.
I don't
It's
mean
been
it's
a
only
big
it,
week.
but-
I think if you say it slower, it might feel...
Oh yeah, that's right. Bobby Slayton tomorrow. No, thanks so much, Ant
you're
Anstead.
welcome.
We love you, Mrs. Ryan. I love you so much. Ant Anstead, we love you very much. I don't know what's going on with me. I think I had a stroke or something during the middle of this. I have
it's
to pee.
gin for breakfast.
The truth is, I do have to pee. Maybe that's it.
Right.
We
throw
love
everything.
everybody at home. Please love one another. Sean, you're awesome. Thank you for being here, and we love you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was great.
Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bobby Slayton.
Oh, wow, it's fun.